started this thing. And you know, these are the things that you have to really think about to keep the hackerspace going. Once you have a hackerspace, maybe you want your local 2600 meeting to meet there so that you can show people what you have to offer, get more people involved, make it so that some random person who picks up a 2600 for the first time knows, oh wow, there's a hackerspace in my community, and can go there and can meet. Maybe you have a lockpicking group that doesn't have a space to meet, that doesn't really feel comfortable, you know, with the 2600 people, but they would be really great contributors to your hackerspace. Maybe you want them to be able to meet there. Training sessions. If there are people out there that are really good at training, that are really good at open source advocacy, open up your hackerspace to teach people how to use open source software, teach them all of these great things that are out there, which they may not know about because they're not necessarily connected into what we're connected into. And of course, engage the public. Host public forums, host information sessions, figure out if there are other groups in the area that can use your space and work things out together. You know, there are many little groups out there that are willing to pay $20 a month in rent to have a monthly meeting space. That's a possible source of income that you can get your space paid for with. Figure out, you know, do we want to throw concerts here? Do we want to have little area shows? Is our hackerspace in a neighborhood that doesn't have a good venue for people who are under 21? Host workshops. And definitely, absolutely, the day that your hackerspace is all done and built, have a public open house. Meet the people in your neighborhood. If you're in if you're in the Empire State Building, hold an open house so that you can introduce yourselves to everybody else that's on your floor. This is a critical thing because if you're in a warehouse or a shared space or in a neighborhood and you get to know your neighbors will be watching out for you. But you have to invite them in. If you just go to your space and you don't interact with anybody else who's there, you know, you lose the benefit of being a good neighbor and having your neighbors be good to you. Jesse, you had something?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You're like,
I'm so ready. I'm so ready.
Okay. Sorry. Excuse me.
We got questions.
Okay. No, we will. How much time do we have left?
None.
What?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. All right. Then I'm just going to cruise through the rest of these. HSI is going to build hackerspaces in areas that we think are sustainable. Even if you live in a small town, if you have a really large, well-connected hacker community, maybe you can make a hackerspace work there.
And I want to move there.
Right. But normally, in just doing the research that we've been doing over the past couple of years, we've identified the areas that are highlighted on this map as areas that we think would be really good and can benefit from a hackerspace and have people in them who can support and continue with a hackerspace.
If this was a bar, this is where we're feeling lucky.
All right. Sorry. Oh, what? Go
back to the map.
Okay. What?
Somebody have questions about the map?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
you.
You don't have the North Carolina Hacker Lab on there, but you have Atlanta on there as a hotspot. We already have an established Hacker Lab with an active community.
See?
Go to the wiki.
That's
put
why we
that
didn't
in there,
talk about
and
it.
we'll revise the map. Or just, you know, the map
Why
is
didn't you
on the
tell
wiki
me
too.
last night?
Download it, highlight it, and upload it back yourself. And we have to stop that. We have to be sharing this. And now, I'm sorry I overspoke. And if you have any other questions that we can't get to here, come visit us.
This could be yours.
Up in the,
Yeah.
up in the con suite. But are there any questions out there that, yes, Seth?
Yes, Seth Hardy.
Those 5 stages of growth and decline, which stage do you believe Triple H is in?
No comment at this time.
Next
Thank you very
question.
much.
Yes.
Do you have tips for, so when you go to an insurance company and you say, hi, I'd like a liability policy for this space where random things will happen. People will have all kinds of their own possessions in it. There'll be concerts and parties and drugs and underage children, oh my. And the insurance guy looks at you and says, no problem, we have a policy for you. $5 million a month. Do you have any tips for mitigating the huge
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but just to repeat your question, he's wondering, do you have any tips for going out there and seeking insurance when you're running a hacker space where a lot of different things could go on?
What about your community technical lab?
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. If you've done all of your due diligence in the first 2 phases and you have all of these different scenarios and contingencies out in a 20-page document that you hand the insurance agent, and if you give an insurance agent a 20-page document of all the possible contingencies and everything else that could go wrong, they're not going to read it. They're going to say, oh, you've done your homework, you're a professional, you know what they're doing, and they're going to write you a policy that they will probably live to regret.
But not for $5 million.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, the key tip for that is to do your homework. Do we have any other questions? Questions? Yeah, Jesse, down in front, behind you, there.
Maybe this is a real broad question, and may have missed the first 5 seconds of the presentation where I missed this, but is a hackerspace more for a group of people that know each other that grow slowly, or something that would be a known staple in the community where someone would say, I've got this thing to do, I want to go to the hackerspace? If it's a more of a staple as opposed to a graduated clubhouse, like you said, it's not supposed to be, are there facilities or methodologies for maybe maintaining that without making it into a business? For example, the library, late fees. There's other, I don't know how a library sustains itself, to be honest.
You know, a lot of what you're talking about is something that you have to decide as a local group. You know, there's no way for us as HSI to be able to determine how you guys work together and what you want to do, how you're going to do it. This is why the first 2 phases are critical. What is your group tooled up and set out to do? How do you want to operate it? There are many, many different ways to operate a public good. The Red Cross works differently than the library, which works differently from the ACLU. Every group has their own best way of working things out among themselves and serving the public. And this is what HSI is doing. It's helping local groups go out there, get organized, and start a space. And so that question really entirely depends on what you want to do and what the questions that you're hopefully going to be answering in the first 2 phases. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, Angus. Use the mic. Put your hand up.
Do you have some sample mission statements on the site or suggestions where you could say this is what we want to envision and maybe this is what a mission statement might look like?
We don't, and that's something that we should work on in the wiki. And I strongly encourage you to either email us or just go out there, maybe start a section on the wiki saying local mission statements. But about mission statements, in our experience, you know, in the research that we've been doing, we've noticed that every different region or every different subset of, you know, of industry has their own way of formatting mission statements. Perhaps there's a standard mission statement, you know, a default thing that's required by the regulations in your particular state, that your mission statement has to look like this. So really, that mission statement question, I'm really, really reluctant to say that, you know, a mission statement that works in New York is going to work in San Francisco or LA or Atlanta or Chicago. What I strongly encourage you to do in those first 2 phases is figure out how local nonprofits are phrasing their mission statements. And honestly, when you're thinking about a hackerspace in your community, look at other nonprofits that have space there. Maybe there's, you know, I know in Michigan we have something called the Cool Cities Initiative that offers grants so that local artist collectives, local things that contribute to the quality of life and encourage young professionals to move to that particular state or area want to see. And they give money so that that happens in their community. You really want to look at how those other nonprofits in your area are doing that in those first 2 phases. So, and I don't, and that's the critical thing. I don't want to, you know, this is just something, the things that I'm presenting here are stuff that everybody has to deal with. There are many, many other things that are specific to your community that you're going to have to deal with, which is I strongly encourage, you know, in that first phase to look and see how other nonprofits are doing things. Any other question?
Actually, we're
Yes.
out of time. We're
No,
out
no,
of
no,
time. Let's take it to the con suite.
What? Oh, we're out of time. Okay, we're out of time. We're going to be in the con suite. Please come visit us there. I actually am giving a talk on hacking your finances at 8 o'clock, so Jesse will be available to do that. I'm going to go work on my speech. Thank you very much for your time and attention. Yeah, can Jen say something?